Hey, I'm ZSHplays, and today we're building and touring a massive African zoo that used to be a theme park. Pamoja Wildlife Park is a collaboration between several Planet Zoo builders, including eineMeinung, Digyduf, Beezy DanCreates, and myself. And the concept is an old African theme park in Tanzania that was built in the glory days of the theme parks and has since fallen into ruin, and now is going to be turned into a state-of-the-art zoo by us. In this video, I'll be joined by Beezy, Digyduf, and DanCreates as we build the entrance and the first habitat, and then tour the finished zoo. I hope you enjoy it. Let's go. Today we're going to be building the entrance to Pamoja Wildlife Park. This is one of my contributions to the zoo. I'm very happy with it. In fact, I think it's better than the entrance to my own zoo, which is a bit annoying.
It's great to see this finally be built because I've seen it in like the game and stuff, but I haven't actually seen it be built. So it's cool to see it all come together like this.
Yeah, I knew as soon as I saw the other people that were building in this zoo that I would need to up my game. It's the first collaboration zoo that I've done, so I am really enjoying it. We decided to call the zoo Pamoja Wildlife Park because Pamoja is the Swahili word for together, which we thought was pretty appropriate for a collaboration zoo like this. And yeah, it's just been really fun working in a different map to what I'm used to, and working with other people. Sometimes you just log into the map and you're like, whoa, who built that? There's just something just pops up like a little surprise. Speaking of surprises, have you guys built in a savannah map before?
Yes, once. It was a very long time ago, but I have once, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a really beautiful map, but I'm kind of glad that it was like that because I learned a lot about how to make areas look lush using the in-game foliage rather than just putting grass everywhere. And I kind of use a lot of those things in my own zoo now, which I didn't really know how to do before. I
had no idea how intricate these arches were.
Yeah, neither did I.
Saw you make them now.
Oh man,
is that from a reference or
yeah? So
you saw online, or you just kind of winged it?
No, so this motif is it's part of like a modernist office block that I found a photo of that I liked. I don't know where it is. And I really wanted it ages ago. I found it and I wanted to use it in my zoo, but I just couldn't work out how to build it. And then when I started doing this, I was like, okay, I'll have another crack at that.
It's a great technique, this.
Just sort of tracing over what was in game. Obviously being lazy, I just wanted to use the pieces that I'm tracing over, but I didn't like them. So I ended up doing this. But I'm really pleased with how it turned out. I ended up using it for the sides of the building, which is what it was originally intended for, and then there's like a sort of sculpture thing at the front, which isn't there yet, because I was sort of so pleased with them. I thought I'll find another use for them, but yeah, it's just it's like an office block somewhere, probably in America, but I'm not entirely sure. I'm really bad for like seeing nice buildings and just saving a picture.
And then people ask you where you got your inspiration from, and you're just like, this image that looked like it, because you don't know how to describe it.
Yeah, we should probably tell people what's coming up in the rest of the park as well. So the first half of the zoo behind this entrance is going to be a mixture of the original theme park, which Diggy is building as we speak, and then modern, new, highly themed enclosures. So we've got some penguins that I've built. We've got a tiger temple that Beezy's making that looks pretty amazing, and then we have a giant tropical house that you're working on now, Dan.
I built my area pretty quickly in this zoo. Yeah.
Also, I don't know why I did this, but I decided to do this by eye instead of actually measuring it until I got to this point, and then I was like, yeah, the entrance really needs to be in the middle, otherwise I'm just going to ruin the entire start of the zoo. So I had to then count it all out on this grid to try and work out where the hell I was.
I always use beams to measure out stuff. Always done it.
yeah, that's a good idea. This part of the building here, which is like the it's not an arch, I guess, because it's not arch shaped, but this sort of the bit that you walk under is based on another building of unknown provenance that I found somewhere. I think this one is in California, to be honest. I think I remember that. It's like someone's house, someone with a lot more money than me, and it's the whole thing's just slightly raised off the floor. like you see there, which I thought was a really cool idea. So I just used that as a base, and then the one thing I do actually remember where I got it from is the tall structures that are going to go on top of it in a second. That is from a early 20th century modernist temple in Bangladesh.
I was thinking it looks like something that would have been like futuristic at one point. It gives that kind of vibe off.
Yeah, that's sort of my favourite aesthetic, really. Things that were futuristic and aren't anymore, but still sort of look futuristic, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, it's weird how there's so many different almost like opinions on what futuristic is.
Yeah.
I'm seeing a lot of Tecton coming through here as well with the
absolutely,
kind of hyper modern, clean white designs.
Yep. So that is
some tech influences.
That is, see, I could call it an influence, or I could just be more honest and say the only thing I can build. But yeah, that will feature heavily in everything I build. To be fair, that is sort of what got me interested in this kind of thing, this Tecton stuff. I had precisely zero interest in architecture or building until I started sort of doing a couple of the London Zoo builds that they did, and then I just got really into it, and then just decided to spend the next 9 months ripping them off. That's sort of what I've done. But they don't exist anymore, so I can rip them off as much as I like. Yeah, I think this is these are the sort of bits from the Bangladeshi temple. It doesn't look anything like this. If you actually saw the image, it's like a proper old school stone temple, like something you'd make with the temple blocks in Planet Zoo. But it just had these weird sort of differing height projections coming out of the roof, and I really like that, so I decided to make that my main influence, and then sort of combine it with the very expensive Californian house, and then the sort of honeycomb effect at the back. I stole that from eineMeinung because she's used that quite a lot, and I was trying to find a way to tie this into what I imagined the rest of the zoo would look like. This took me 2 months. Obviously not like 2 months of solid work, just like an hour here, an hour there, but that's from start to finish.
Just spending 2 months of doing nothing else.
Yes, that's all I did. Eat, sleep, and build this entrance. No, you'd be disappointed if that was 2 months of your life and you only had one entrance. But in between doing my own stuff, that's what I was doing. So I think when I first started it, the zoo consisted of the big lion sculpture, and that was it. So I didn't really have any idea what it was going to look like, but I suspected that it wouldn't be an entire zoo full of Tecton rip-offs. So I was trying to find some way to tie it in, and then I think eineMeinung started the safari, which is where I got the some of the honeycomb. I don't know what they are. Is it like copper?
I have no idea.
Stands. I don't know. I sort of just
That sounds right.
nicked the idea from her and thought that might tie it in a bit. We're gonna redo the inside of this building. I sort of ran out of steam at this point and just chucked a few things that I'd made previously in there. But this is going to be a restaurant when it's finished, which I'm going to start pretty soon. But I wanted to get on and do the next build that I've done in this zoo.
Should we talk a little bit about the backstory that we've got going on?
Yeah.
I'm still figuring out what our backstory is. We're trying to make it fit into the actual design of the place. But I'm taking that whole Disneyland concept and running with it and trying to create an area that feels like a worn-down theme park while also having that renovated modern aspect to it.
Yeah, I think the combination of old decayed theme park and the new buildings that we're putting in is a really interesting combo. I like it.
Is that an elevator you're building there now? For the floors?
One of the numerous things that you just think really should be in the game, but you just have to build it yourself every time. I'm sure there's some good ones on the workshop or better than this, but I try not to use workshop items other than like really tiny things.
Elevator workshop items.
Yeah, maybe I should just start using them and forget trying to build everything myself.
I was just going to say early on, I remember I felt like I was plagiarizing whenever I'd take someone's workshop item, and I had a really hard time getting over using someone else's work, you realize how much faster and efficient it is to just copy something that, like you said, is probably made better than the one you'd made.
We're nearly at the end now. This is pretty much the last thing to be built in the entrance. So we're going to leave you with some cinematics of the finished entrance. In today's episode, we're going to be working just behind the entrance that you can see here, building the first habitat that the guests will see when they enter the zoo, which is going to be a habitat for penguins. So this is one of my builds, and then behind it will be a backstage area created by eineMeinung. So today, once again, I have with me the wonderful Digyduf.
Hi again.
And the... let me think of a word that isn't wonderful. Beezy, what do you want to be? What adjective are you?
I don't know. I'm under pressure. I don't know what I am.
You're the Prince of Primates, the King of the Climbers. I've run out of names.
I'll take whatever name I'm given.
And once again, we have the marvelous Beezy.
Marvelous works. Thank you. How you doing, everybody?
Good to speak to you both again. So yeah, this week we are building a penguin enclosure. This is going to be the first habitat that you will see when you enter the zoo. It is directly after the entrance. Traditionally, for reasons that I don't know, maybe you two do, you must have a flamingo exhibit immediately after the entrance. I don't know why that's the case. That's not just in Planet Zoo. That appears to apply for many, many zoos in real life as well. Anyone know why that is such a popular opening attraction?
You know, I think birds in general are, this is just a guess, I'm no expert, but I would think that they handle the noise better than some animals that tend to be more shy, maybe.
Oh, that is a really good point, actually. Yeah, so hopefully penguins will fill that nicely and be a bit more interesting than yet another flamingo pool. So the concept for this build is based on a exhibit at Disneyland, California. Is that what it's called?
California is Disneyland.
Right.
Florida's Disney World.
Okay, so Disneyland is the one I'm speaking about then. So anyway, I did think when we were talking about maybe having this being based on an old theme park, I should probably actually, find out what a theme park was and do some research. So I looked into it for a bit, and I watched a series on Disney Plus about the history of Disneyland and all the different Disney parks. And one of the favorite things that I saw was, I think it was called Submarine Lagoon, which is, I think it's like a 60s era ride in Disneyland. It's still there now, but they've rethemed it as a Finding Nemo attraction. But basically it's these little sort of boats disguised as submarines that go around this lagoon, and they use various cool tricks to make it feel like you're actually underwater, even though only the bottom half of the boat is underwater, but you sit at the bottom of it and they use like bubbles and stuff like that, so you feel like you're going underwater. It looks like a pretty cool ride. If I'm ever in California again, I will probably check it out. But I decided to base this exhibit on that, and basically rebuilt it and replaced the submarines with penguins. That was the idea. Either of you guys familiar with Submarine Lagoon?
Not at all.
I believe it's the original design was based off of the book 30,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
Now I know now I know what you're talking about. I know now.
And I think it's right by the old Autobahn car track.
But one of the things I really liked about the Submarine Lagoon, which is why I decided to base the habitat on it, is that it had a monorail running through it, and I just thought it'd be a really cool idea to have the remains of a monorail running through the penguin habitat, serving absolutely no purpose whatsoever. I don't know why that attracted me so much, but for some reason I just thought I think it was just the look. These what I'm building here, the supports, I guess you'd call them, for the monorail are exactly or pretty much exactly what is actually in Disneyland for their monorail, and I really like the look of them, probably because they're quite modernist in design, which is what I like. So I decided I just wanted to basically rip those off and put those in the habitat, but not actually have any monorail to go on them, like they were the remnants of the original theme park, and I'm pretty happy with how they look in there.
I think it really influenced how the rest of the park ended up turning out, because we were able to incorporate that in a lot of different areas and kind of have bits and pieces of supports popping up that help sell that abandoned theme park look we aimed for.
Now, what those mounds thing is that the enrichment?
Yeah, so the other thing, this is again taken directly from Submarine Lagoon. The artwork that they'd created to make it look like you were 20,000 leagues under the sea when you were in fact in about maybe 2-3 feet of water, and this is what I use. I just use the termite mounds to do that. They look a bit janky right now, but once they've got the aquatic rocks and loads of other stuff around them to sort of sit them into where they are, I'm pretty happy with how they look in the end. I don't really know exactly how the ride progresses. I know it takes you from sort of a lagoon, and then at some point you're supposed to go under the Arctic, and you're supposed to go through loads of different environments, so maybe that's what it was for, a sort of underwater volcanic vent kind of deal. But yeah, the termite mounds seem to work really well once I'd finished sort of hiding them, and then I just used some of the rocks like this as well so it wasn't all exactly the same things. There's only one of those natural termite enrichments, so you can only rotate it so many times before it starts to look exactly the same. Got the big underwater viewing window in on the right hand side as well. That's it. You know what, it probably took me longer to make that than the rest of it combined, because I had to use paths, and I hate paths. Trying to dig out the terrain with paths, it took forever.
Paths are not your friend in this game.
Yeah, they're nobody's friend, are they?
Speaking of paths, I'm at the point now where I actually don't even put paths in my zoo. Behind each enclosure, I literally just have the what's the name of the thing? The Animal Trade Center connected directly to the habitat gate, and one keeper back there, and that's all I need. I use no paths whatsoever because they're pointless. The guests bring no positivity to the zoo. They just bring all drama. They can stay at home.
I'm assuming that's the old monorail track, right?
So that is what these submarines would have gone around on.
Or submarine, excuse me.
Yeah. I did actually, it's not in the speed build because it was too embarrassing to make public, but I did actually try and make one of the, sort of a rip-off of one of the Disneyland submarines. I wanted one of the submarines just sat in the back hey, this is why this is here, this is what this habitat used to be sort of deal. And I figured I'm not the best at making stuff out of small objects, but stick one at the back and it'll be all good. But turns out I'm not even good enough to make one to put at the back, so it's not in there. But they had these really distinctive sort of bright yellow submarines, basically. Maybe this is a waterfall. Obviously, this is probably another thing that people spend a decent percentage of their time in Planet Zoo doing. Trying to cover up the giant waterfall piece so it doesn't look like a giant waterfall piece.
I know, it would have been great if they gave that to us as one of the effect pieces and didn't have that big kind of block around it.
It's very limiting. I mean, I got away with it here because this is a really man-made 1960s theme park style thing, so you can just put a giant pool of a giant pile of unrealistic looking rocks in, and then that's cool because that's what these things look like. But when you're trying to do it in a more naturalistic environment, it is a bit of a nightmare. And I kind of like what we've ended up with. I think you've done most of that, Diggy, which is just putting bits of the broken monorail into bits of the park where you fancy having it, and then not having it in bits where you don't fancy having it, and because it serves no purpose in terms of actually transporting people, you can you can just put it wherever you like.
Yeah, and it definitely helps tie the whole map together, because it definitely helps to see something that's exactly the same throughout the course of the map, because there's a lot of different buildings, different styles in here. So to see something, this monorail, that's exactly the same throughout the zoo, just helps to tie it all together.
With a theme park, you can get away with anything, practically.
Precisely. It's wherever your imagination takes you and whatever you want to do. And I like that as well. I like the fact that everyone's been able to build in their own, pretty much in their own styles, but with an eye on the overall concept. But no one's felt like they've got to do something this way. My stuff's still, 90% white concrete. Diggy's got his retro stuff going on. Beezy's got his climbing stuff going on. eineMeinung is just going crazy. I should mention as well, she made these penguins. They're so cute. They just appeared in the penguin pool while I was building it one day, which I enjoyed. So I kept those and just recolored them so they were the color of the African penguins. And that is the build done. This habitat and the entrance were the only two things that I built in the zoo. Everything else was built by the others, and it's absolutely amazing. So we're going to go and take a tour of the finished zoo, starting on the west side and then moving over to the east side. So we're at the original entrance to the zoo in the old theme park. Everything that you're going to see today was built by Digyduf and Beezy, and we're going to go on a little tour of it. So this is the entrance, and we're going to move into the original theme park. I presume this is where the staff entrance is now, is that right?
So yeah, this is the entrance that's kind of inspired by a French colonial style. I kind of based it off a theme park in my hometown, and it's now kind of a derelict, rundown, out of order entrance that's kind of been closed off and kept for the historical value. Originally I had it huge and a bunch of different ticket booths and all these things, and if you make things smaller, they always come across.
I agree. I've always said that the smaller the better. When you build the stuff smaller, it just looks more realistic in this game.
And then up here we've got the central fountain that has since been drained since the new acquisition from the new group, the new philanthropist who's come in to turn this place into a wildlife sanctuary. So this place is not getting as much love, and so I tried to reflect that in the dead leaves and some of the cracks.
I love that. It really looks derelict, especially the dead leaves. That's one of my favorite little tricks to add detail to something. It's just bury just the tiniest bit of tree in there, so all you can see is some leaves scattered on the floor. I like the way it looks old and ruined, but still really attractive at the same time.
So up here we have the carousel building on our right, and that was a carousel I actually designed for a friend on Discord, and thought it fit perfectly for this park. And then those green buildings there with the wooden paneling on the side are from an old zoo I abandoned and saved the blueprints and kind of reworked them to fit this area we've got here, and I think they turned out pretty well and definitely fit that style. And then up here's some more things that I reworked into fitting in this zoo. So I already had that shade structure made in the same zoo that green building was from.
Oh yeah.
And then the play structure there is from my franchise zoo that I made, and I kind of made that round courtyard that I really like, how it kind of all ties in with the rounded shade structure and the
it fits really centerpiece. Well. I especially like the sort of kiddie bridge between the two towers. That is really nicely done. Right, so let's move on to the Twisted Tiger. This is a tiger temple that was a collaboration between Beezy and Diggy. This is more of something that was in the theme park originally, and that has then been upgraded to form a habitat. So I think Beezy started this. What was your sort of inspiration and vibe for this?
My inspiration for the Tiger Temple came from, I believe it's Houston Aquarium. They have a very small, tiny white tiger enclosure, all indoor. And that was my idea at first. Then I lost inspiration, and Diggy was like, yeah, I'll finish it out. And we came up with this.
Cool. So this is based on an aquarium that keeps a tiger. That's an unusual animal for an aquarium.
Yeah, it's no longer there. It was one of those things where, animal activists, rights activists were fighting with this aquarium for years, trying to get the tiger out of there. And I think they finally got him out in like 2018.
So is this like the temple part of this? Is that sort of what size they had there, or is this bigger than what they had?
Correct. No, the indoor area, once we get inside, is pretty much all that they had at that.
Man, that is
it was pretty tight.
Not good. I love the combo between what you've done. So Diggy has added the old roller coaster, which is what this ride would have been back in the day when this was the theme park. And then we have the outdoor space that's been added onto it. This would actually be a good size IRL for tigers, I think. Similar to quite a lot of tiger enclosures that I've seen.
We'll be Wyatt Andrews' foliage technique, using that crowsberry bush to kind of get some grass because this map's so darn dry looking.
Oh yeah.
And bring in some greenery.
This is the inside of the temple, which again I really like. It's really nice to tour something that I've had pretty much nothing to do with, because I can talk about how nice it is without just feeling really arrogant, because I take no credit for this at all. But yeah, it works really well.
It will. When you show off your stuff, we'll make sure to give lots of compliments.
You better. I'm going to write the script for you. This is the greatest thing I've ever seen. But yeah, I can't believe that this bit was like a whole habitat. That's not ideal. Is this your work, Beezy?
Yeah, that's my climbing structure as well.
Nice.
I believe that's in my climbing pack on the workshop. Yeah, I believe that's on my climbing pack.
I really like the this. I think it's just a load of small logs stuck together, but to get this twisted.
Yeah, that's all it is.
And some nice custom anti-climb barriers as well. Always good. Okay, so let's move on and take a look at the next part of the park now.
This is a little dirty, sad, abandoned pond that we have here that's just kind of sitting there now, and
I like it.
Getting lost in the nature.
Yeah, I think it fits in really nicely with the pavilion, the sort of, I guess that's like the dock, so to speak, where you'd get on your swan pedalo and pedal off. Well, I'd say into the sunset, but it's not really big enough to pedal off into the sunset, but you could certainly pedal off into the other side of the pond. So this is your work, Diggy, I presume?
Yeah, so my idea here was having some place that if you were staying in the overnight tents, you could come here and park your car after going on a safari and enter the lodge, which is coming up here. Again, another blueprint I had laying around were these green tents, and they weren't doing much in my blueprint folders, so I figured I'd put them to good use here.
Yeah, they fit in really nicely. So,
and yeah, they work great for the low budget kind of option.
Yeah.
The fancier stuff you got.
And then back this way is where you would check in, right?
Yeah, that's the idea. And I see Jesse put in some workers there, which had a nice touch. I always forget you can add people just standing still. But
yeah, I only just started doing that, just putting down like one bit of path, keep someone trapped there forever. And then this is the main Safari Lodges area. So this is there's a restaurant and a lot of different animals to see, which are all sort of grouped together in a more safari park kind of way, more of big open enclosures with fencing rather than the tiger temple, where it's more of a feature exhibit. This again is just a really beautiful area. I'm a big fan of this. What have you got animal wise in here?
Up here, there's, what did I put here? I have some flamingos, some wildebeest, and the common warthog and the common ostrich. And I just wanted them to kind of seem like they're roaming freely around the lodge grounds.
We've got some crocs in here as well. Oh, there's one. Having a little sleep over there.
A crocodile was sitting right in the perfect spot, like he knew we were coming to take that picture.
I just think a bridge over a body of water that's got something that could eat you in it is always a good move for a zoo or a park.
It's always a thrill.
It's got a moat with crocodiles. It's well defended.
Love this wall as well. That is some excellent work.
Thank you. Yeah, this was kind of inspired by two places I had in mind. One was this place in Northern California called Safari West, which is an overnight safari camp. That's where the tents came into play. And then there's also a reference image I saw of a safari lodge in Zimbabwe that was a major influence for this.
I love all the thatched roofs that you've got around here.
Yeah. These canopies. Diggy knows I love these canopies. He knows how I feel about these things.
Yeah, this project was a great practice in using that African column piece to rotate stuff.
Yeah. So this, I think this is a restaurant here.
This the one with the eatery inside? Yeah, this is my favorite building.
Yeah, this is it's kind of amazing.
Yeah,
I like these cloches
and
as well.
You built this whole thing, like with the food and everything? You did all this stuff?
Yeah, except for the eineMeinung added some little details like that fire, emergency fire button thing on the wall. But
this is so good.
Man, look at that.
The way you get the light from the canopy, and then there's a hot tub.
Like a jacuzzi? Oh, come on. I've never, this is the first time I've seen this, and I've been in this zoo.
yeah, where have you been, man?
I don't know.
So behind all this amazing restaurantiness is Ape Mountain, which is mainly, I think, Beezy's work, but with other stuff from eineMeinung and Diggy as well. But yeah, this is pretty cool. It's been a while since it was built. We finally got the animals in there. I just put those in today. I hope you're happy with where I put them actually, Beezy, but this is where I chose to sort of separate them. But it looks very good indeed.
Yeah, that works.
So it's one giant habitat, and then it's mainly rock work and foliage that keeps the animals separated. So we've got the gorillas here. So I think Beezy pretty much built all of this, and then eineMeinung put the giant gorilla head in the back. So yeah, that's a pretty nice view while you're eating your dinner. And then down here we've got orangs.
Chimpanzees should be on that side, I believe. Maybe. Oh, no, that looks like an orangutan.
Yes, we've got the orangs up here, and then I put the chimps at the end here. Oh, there's one. They've got a little cave as well, which I hadn't noticed at first, which I like. And those big fat ropes that you love, Beezy. I'm a big fan of those that you made.
Yeah, it's trying to do something different. And I make climbing structures all the time, so I've got to start experimenting with new stuff, or it's going to get real repetitive.
Yeah, you are the king of the climbers. We all know that. But yeah, this is just a really nice area. I love how natural it is.
That does look good.
You also made something up there, but I only discovered today there's no way to get to it. So we will have to fly there. Oh man, I forgot about this. The parrot cage. I love this. This is Diggy, right?
Yeah, it's definitely Diggy.
And to fill up the space and catch your eye.
It's really, really good. I love the sort of decayed effect that you've put on everything, Diggy.
Honestly, that's the most fun part, is making something that looks cool and then tearing it apart. Putting vines and breaking it and all that stuff.
This is really really effective as well. I think down here it just feels real. The way you've mixed the foliage in with the in-game grass as well, with the river in the background. I really, really like this view.
It looks beautiful. It's a beautiful view right here.
Let me jump out of Tejikam because I just want to go and see the other climbing thing that you built, Beezy, which is right at the top.
The idea was that it was like an indoor area where the guests really don't have access to it. The monkeys can just use it on their own.
All right, like a sort of a separation area or something like that.
It was kind of supposed to just be more of an indoor sleeping type area for whichever primate want to get up there.
Great work, both of you. I absolutely love this entire area. But we're going to go and take a look at a few of the builds on the east side of the park, and then finish up with the Safari Drive. This area of the zoo is under pretty heavy construction at the moment, as you can see. This was all built by eineMeinung, but we are going to go and take a look at Dan's build, which is this giant House of the Tropics here. But here it is. Here is the House of the Tropics, suitably covered in tropical vegetation, with a little lake outside of it as well. So let's go in. It's based around this huge aquatic area here, which is, this part of it is pretty much an implied enclosure. I think this would be full of fish, ideally. And then we've got some seating here. And then the main viewing is up on this gantry here. One thing that Dan added that I really like is this banana plantation, which I thought was a cool idea. Using some of the space in the zoo to grow food for the animals. The Pamoja banana farm. There's a really beautiful view here as you walk along. And there's also some exhibit animals in here as well. Some of Digyduf's shade structures there. So here we have the first animal. It's a Gila monster. Really nice use of the exhibit here, I think, as well. Oh, you can even see one. There we go. Just chilling out there. Another one there. What I really like about this building is this pathway, which is really clever. The guests won't use it, obviously, because there's no actual in-game path. But even in Tegid Cam, you can walk across it and admire the view. Over there, behind that fence, you can see the big animals in here, the gharials. And with it all being made of glass, you get really good views of the rest of the zoo as well. See back into Penguin Lagoon from here. And the entrance. And then another exhibit along here, which is Goliath frogs, I believe. Now, down the path from the House of the Tropics is one of my absolute favourite builds in this park, which is something that Diggy's built, which we are going to go and see now. It's hidden away down this little path. Another remnant of the original theme park. You can just see it in the trees there. Let's go and take a look. So, past this ruined old building. Obviously not got to this part of the reconstruction efforts yet. You can see the old merry-go-round. And this build is just absolutely crazy. The actual merry-go-round itself is amazing. I don't even know how he made this, but then the way he's decayed it all, so it's all falling to pieces and overgrown, that is just pretty awesome. It's even got the little seats in it. I love that. So good. I could just rotate around this for the rest of the video, but I won't. Let's move on and take a look at the last of the smaller habitats that we're going to look at today, which is the Nyala habitat. Pretty much just a space filler, this particular habitat, but it looks pretty nice. The reason we needed a space filler is to get us to the safari itself. So as we come around here, this is where the safari begins. This is for meerkats and fennec foxes. It looks quite small, but it's actually joined on to a much larger enclosure out on the safari, with viewing for the guests at the top as well. And then this takes us round to the entrance to the actual safari drive. Let's get on the safari ride and take a look. Alright, here comes the safari ride. It runs on a massive loop around the safari, and it does give you a really good look at all the various areas. So we start off in this crazy building that eineMeinung has dreamed up, and then into the, whoa, he nearly died, into the safari itself. I love the signage and the fences there, and then of course the massive lion rock that is sort of the symbol of the park. We're going to go into this first area for the meerkats and the fennec foxes, which is the other side of the area that we looked at a minute ago. And I love the fact that there's other vehicles in here as well, both in-game and workshop items. Really sort of sells it. So obviously there's no guests walking around in here, that would not be sensible. To be honest, I'm not sure how sensible these open-sided vehicles are with some of the animals in this safari, but that's sort of, you just gotta go with what you're given in Planet Zoo. Big lake full of crocodiles. You know we're a fan of anything involving a bridge over crocodiles in this zoo. And the hippos as well. I love these guys. I love their little tippy tap runs that they do. This car's awesome as well. I've never actually used any of the rides in Planet Zoo, but they seem to be pretty tricky to get working from what eineMeinung has told me. But yeah, this is a pretty special view here of the elephants. And you can see into their house there. Everything, all the backstage and all the animal houses that you can see around here are fully completed and detailed. They're amazing. I'd highly recommend going to take a look at them. There is some crazy designs and some crazy detailing in there. Coming around to the rhinos now. This one's just having a little sleep. And then we move into the hoofstock part of the safari. Loads of different species, all grouped together. So if you don't want to stump up the cash to go around in the Jeep, you still get to experience some of it from the foot safari. And yeah, just a really cool piece of work. Nothing to do with me, so I can say that. And that is the safari. It finishes up under the giant lion rock here. Guests can also go inside the lion. There's a reptile house in there. And that is Pamoja Wildlife Park. Thank you so much for watching this little series. We've all had an amazing time making it. So from me, eineMeinung, Beezy, Diggy and Dan, thanks for watching. See you later. Bye.